Good evening and welcome to another live stream live from beautiful Abruzzo with us at home in Italy. If it's the first time you've joined us, then welcome. Where have you been? But glad to see you. Well, not see you, meet you. You know what I mean. This is a regular thing that we do on a Tuesday, and every Tuesday at 7 p.m. covering lots of subjects. And tonight is a change of subject because I did say it was going to be cost of living. And then I had to change another one around because people weren't available to speak. So in the end, tonight is the big, massive Q&A. And it is an important streaming session because these Q&A sessions, these are designed for you guys that want a little bit of information, that maybe email me or maybe want to chat with me and I haven't got time to chat with you, and that sounds horrible, but it is the reality of things at the moment. It's difficult to chat with everybody, but we really want to push these Q&A sessions to make sure we have them every month. And yeah, you can send us emails. So if you don't get to watch us live, then you can send us emails and we'll try out. I can't speak. Tony, I can't speak tonight. We will try and answer as many questions as possible. So anybody that doesn't know us, my name is David Benton, and together with my wife, Silvana, we've been helping overseas buyers buy, restore, and move to beautiful Italy, and in particular, our region of Italy, which is the stunning, should I say, Abruzzo region. Tonight, as per usual, we've got Tony in the background. Tony is our producer, and if you hear any ridiculous noises throughout these every now and then, he finds it funny, and we just have to amuse him every now and then. We do let him out onto the streams every now and then, but try to keep him contained as much as possible. So anyway, that's Tony, the producer. Let us know where you are in the world. Start writing in the chat box. Hold your questions for a short while if you can. Purely because, Tony, we've got a Tony Patty's in. Hello from Montazzi, Abruzzo, here for a week overseeing our home renovation. Can't thank Dave enough. Oh, Tony's putting it on now. Can't thank Dave enough for finding our dream home. Great to have you back, Tony. Hope you're and you're tuning in again. You've already got a place now. You don't need to tune in, but I'm so happy that you do. And enjoy your stay here. Great house he's got. So, and thank you for the kind comment as well. So yeah, let us know where you are in the world. And if Tony behaves, usually he'll keep your questions on for more than 2 seconds rather than just putting them on and then whipping them off again. Let us know where you are. Let us know that if you're on. I can see we've got people on YouTube. I don't think we've got any Facebookers on yet. If you are on Facebook, yeah, it all seems to be YouTube at the moment. If you are on Facebook, say hello. Let us know that you're alive. It's strange when we do these live streams because when we first kick in, it shows us 0 viewers. Then all of a sudden it jumps up, and now Facebook I can see is coming in. So yeah, it's all very strange, but there you go. So thank you again for joining us. As I said, this week's tonight's show was supposed to be about cost of living, but I'm moving that on potentially to next week. But it may be Meet the Home Buyers next week. I'm just waiting to sort that out. So I'm not going to tell you what's happening next week. It will be a surprise. So just be patient. And just to let you know as well that the 19th, which is the last one before Christmas, I can't believe it's nearly Christmas, even though Christmas celebrations really start in another 3 days in Italy from the 8th of December and then carry on until the 6th, the 6th being the last day. So yeah, it's not as Christmas in Italy as many other places, but after the 8th, then it all just suddenly goes crazy. Anyway, on the 19th, so we've got a webinar. I keep calling these webinars a live stream next Tuesday. The subject will be agreed in the next couple of days and let you know. Then on the 19th, we have the big, massive Christmas party. So that should be a fun one. We're just going to literally just sit here and have a few glasses of wine. We're going to bring a few of the old Meet the Home Buyers on. We're going to hopefully get David Nixon, who does our currency exchanges, probably get him on just to come and say hello. Just get a few people on to say hello. A little bit like last week's where we have a few different screens with different people on, even though it was a little bit complicated last week, but it was still, hope everybody enjoyed that one. And if you missed it, then make sure you go to YouTube and go on the live section. A lot of people, they go on the YouTube page, which is going to YouTube and then type "A Home in Italy," and what they say is we can't find any of your videos, any of your past videos. You need to click in the live section. If you click in live, you'll see all the streams that we do every week going back to before I was grey, going back, and I've always been grey, going back about 11 months, something like that. They're all on there, so there's loads of them for you to view. Some of them are horrendous quality until we suddenly realise that you have to have lights on and things like that. But the subjects are still good. So just make sure you click on the live section. Talking about websites and all of that kind of thing, we are getting on with the website, and I can hear the laughs. I can hear it is a standing joke for new people that's here. I've been promising this website, but I did say it would be ready for Christmas, and it will be. Maria's saying, is the Patreon working yet? It's all coming with the new website. I want to launch everything together. I was going to do little bits and all that kind of stuff. And the thing that's holding me up now, which is why I've got this all set up, which is a camera I bought a while ago to do videos and things. And Tony will be testament to this. I tend to buy things and then don't use them, which is absolutely ridiculous. But I've been setting up things ready to put some new videos on the website, and it's that's holding me up, plus putting the houses on there. But we are plowing through it, and it's going to be great when it's finished. And Patreon's going to be on there. There's going to be a forum on there. Lots of things for people to see. I've just seen a hello from Peter and Jerry. So hello to you guys as well out in Montenegro. There they are. Soon to be coming back to Palombaro. I'm looking forward to that as well. Okay, so as I said, just hold on to your questions just for a short while, and I just want to, what else did I need to say, Tony? There was something else. Let me just get it up there. Oh yes, the tours next year. We are going to be when we put the new website live, which is going to be just before Christmas, we are going to be also putting the autumn dates for the tour, because January, March, April are sold out. May, the last time I looked, there was 6 places on there. Now, I have mentioned it a few times that we're going to be adding extra dates potentially to January and March. The reason why I've not got back to anybody and told them about that yet is purely because I'm waiting for the bus company to confirm what we can have, because we can't have one huge coach, because they won't get down some of the roads that we tend to go on. So we have to have, so we've got a 20-seater coach, we've got a 9-seater coach, and then we're trying to get another one to come along as well. So we're just waiting for confirmation of that. Then I will let you know if there is any availability on January, March, and April. As it stands now, they are all fully booked. And I said May, there was very, very few the last time I looked on there. What was the other notices? If anybody's looking, remember, anybody looking to rent properties out here in Abruzzo, that's around the Sulmona area, also Palombaro area, Lama di Peligna, soon to be Atessa, just let me know, and I will put you in touch with a company. Well, it's going to be a company that are sponsoring these evenings, these Wednesday, I'll start again. These Tuesday evenings, and I'll give you their information. You can speak direct. They've got some great properties for rent. So let me know if any of you are thinking about renting a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is. Just let us know, and we'll put you in. Just emails at info@ahomeinaitaly.com. Adriana is saying, I knew Tony would do that. He's just waiting for me to read that out, and then he took it off. So I think Adriana was asking about, here it is, what about June? I'm going to be on vacation. We are still checking on June. We are the problem we've got is we love doing these tours. They're fantastic. And there's certain times a year where we do a number of signings. And to mix having a signing month and tours together is really difficult. We're trying to get all our signings done in more condensed time, if you like. That's obviously for people that's ready to sign for their properties, which is why we're not doing a February one, and we're also keeping June available, and also because it can be quite hot. We are considering June, Adriana, so we will definitely make a decision once I hear from the coach people about the other dates as well. So that will, I'm going to say, coming soon, and it will be coming soon. Okay, so it's the big Q&A session. Get your questions sent as soon as possible. Come on, let us know what, even if it sounds ridiculous, you may as well. Dave, forgot Tina says hi. Oh, hi, it's Svetla and Tina. We'll be seeing you in March and April. Got our tickets. Can't wait to see you. Okay, they're getting a great place as well in Sulmona. Absolutely superb place. Okay, so where was I? questions. Start sending your questions through. Even if it seems like a ridiculous question, let me know. Tony's going straight in with it here with about septic tanks. Fantastic. Just write them on here. Anything that's on your mind, share it with people, because I would rather you ask on here than ask on other social media sites and just get ridiculous answers. So this community that we have here is all about just getting to know everything. So it's important. So let's start. Let's start on a very nice subject. Thank you, Tom. And thank you, Tony, for choosing this one to start with. For homes in the countryside that are on a septic tank, is that inspected before you close? Okay, so this is a, how can I say? Some of the septic tanks in the past, they were the old type that disappears into the countryside. Nobody really knows where it goes. It's sort of, they're dug down a long, long way and they just go. And there are lots of properties like that. You'll be surprised how many properties are on mains drains, so it's not a problem. You'll be very surprised how many are on mains drains. The ones that are there, they should have been put onto septic tank, but loads of people don't. It's the old-fashioned ones. When you buy a house, it is sold as seen. If there is a septic tank already there, obviously the owners have got to let you know about it. It's down to you, the buyer, because properties here are sold, unless it was new. It's different if it's new. But what people are doing is selling old properties and saying, look, this is my property. That's why sometimes when people ask about having surveys done and things like that, they say, should I get a survey done? Can I get a survey done? And things like that. It's a tough one, because it's just somebody's opinion on things. They don't have to be done, and people are selling them as they are. So for a surveyor to go around and say, okay, well, the septic tank's a bit old, that could do with replacing, and I've noticed the windows are a bit old, and that could do with replacing. That's why the properties are priced the way they are. What Italians won't do, you know, if you go to an Italian and say, okay, all the windows need changing, so I'm not going to offer you 50, I'm going to offer you 40. They're going to say, well, hang on a minute, I've never said that the windows are in good condition. The windows are as they are, and the price is 50. And it is a completely different market for things like that. So the short answer is, anything you want checking out, you need to get that checked out. It's not something that they by law have to do. But obviously, if they've got the correct septic tanks, they should show you their receipts and all that kind of thing. But you will find that in the countryside, in some areas, you will find that it's the old type that just disappears somewhere. So just to warn you of that. Okay, I've got some questions here as well, Tony, that I will sort of jump in when I can. Bari, is Bari a nice area? I've driven past Bari many, many times because I love going down to Puglia, and our resident accountant, who's coming in January to spread the glorious news of taxes in Italy, lives down there, and we like to go down there and visit him as well. And we used to pass around the outskirts of Bari, and I wasn't impressed at all. Went into the center one day and I absolutely loved it. It's a great place, fantastic place. Bari as a region is obviously quite big, so there are some. Puglia is just a little bit different, well, a lot different to many other areas in Italy. It's quite flat, but it does have some fantastic towns. It all depends what you like from an area. I love greenery, I love mountains and that kind of thing, and Abruzzo is full of that, and it's full of old towns. You go down into Puglia, they've got some incredible old towns and some beautiful architecture and the rest of it. But then you come out of the towns and it's quite barren and quite flat and everything else. So it's one of those that I would say definitely go. If it's somewhere you're considering doing, Abruzzo and Puglia are great to see, in my opinion, together. Anybody that's interested in buying a property in Italy, never been to Italy, or thinking about either, because they're so easy to get to. And you can jump on a train from Bari to Pescara with no problem at all. They're so easy to get to, and they are so different. So if you came to Abruzzo, La Marche, or Umbria, or even parts of Tuscany, it started to look Lazio, that you see a lot of similarities. You see a lot of greenery, you see the mountains and all that kind of stuff. They each have their own special parts, if you like, and they each have their own great characteristics. But you go to Puglia, it's completely different. I would probably say to anywhere else. In fact, I will say that to anywhere else in Italy. Even Sicily. I mean, Sicily has some great architecture like Puglia does, but the countryside is still green and mountainous and things like that. So I would say Puglia is if you like that kind of thing, then it's definitely worth visiting along with Abruzzo. Okay. Is Tony putting another? Okay, so Linda, Dave, if we purchase a holiday home in Abruzzo and stay 180 days or less, are we subjected to the 7% tax on our personal income? No. To become a taxpayer of Italy, you need to be here, spend more time here than somewhere else. Because if you came here for 183 days or whatever, I think it's 183, but let's say 181 to be on the safe side, then you would have to become resident, because your stay would have well, you wouldn't be allowed to carry on staying here depending where you're from. Some countries it's 90 days, presuming you possibly. I don't know if you're coming from the UK, but yeah, you don't pay taxes in Italy unless you become a tax resident. To be a tax resident, you need to spend more time here in Italy than you do. You need to spend 180. I'm sure they say 183. I could be wrong. So I'm going to say 181 just in case. Then you'll be subject to Italian taxes. If you're within your normal visa rights, so whether that's 90 days in any 180 days, or wherever you're coming from, if you say that you're allowed 180, I'm presuming that's in a year. So if you do your 90 and then go away for 90, come back for 90, go away for 90, you're not subject to Italian taxes on your income. Having said all of that, the idea of the 7% tax scheme was to entice people to come over and be pensions here, because it is a great scheme. That's 7% on all your worldwide income. Obviously, speak to an accountant, and we're going to have somebody coming in January to go through all that kind of thing. But it is a great incentive to be a pensioner. So also consider it as well. But yes, the short answer is no, you wouldn't. Could you please discuss the yes, re-owning a car and taxes? Okay, I'm going to be, you've got me here. Tony, why did you put that question through? I told you only the ones I can bloody answer. Sorry, whoa, I even swore. Only ones that I could answer. I hope YouTube are not going to throw me off now. That's the first time. I didn't mean that. I do apologize. I know it was only a little one, and that was aimed at Tony, nobody else. Anyway, Tony, moving on. I'm not sure. I need to see what I'll be honest, I don't know what the AIRE program is exactly. But if you're talking about, which Tony actually said before I came on, people are going to be asking about cars. If you're talking about cars, you need to be a resident to own a car here. You have to be a resident, not a homeowner. You need to be a resident. You're not a citizen. You need to be a resident. So if it's that, if you're trying to find some way around the owning a car part while you're not actually a resident here, then I've not found one. And many other people have tried, and I've not found anybody that's successful yet. So apologies, I'm not up to speed on that particular scheme. But if it's about cars, then you will need to be a resident before you can actually own one here. Okay, Tony, I'm going to just talk 1 minute about. I knew I'd send another. Are solar panels popular? Worth it in Italy? Yes. Becoming more popular, worth it, I've been told so. I have not put any up, and I've been told by a number of people that I'm a little bit silly for not doing so. I was old school, should I say? God, that's making me sound old. In thinking that technology is going to get better, they're too expensive, blah, 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 blah. But the more I speak to people, and a good friend of mine that lives quite close to where I live here, has said that crazy for not having them. So yes, they are getting more popular, and I've been told they're more than worth it from a number of people. Why we haven't got any is probably my silly fault. But yes, I would say yes, they are, and yes, they are worth it. Tony, I just want to quickly go on to Codis Fiscales, because I've been asked about Codis Fiscale. This is an important one. I'm going to share my screen, because if people can just hold their questions off just a little bit, that would be fantastic. So I want to just share my screen about Codis Fiscales. Codis Fiscales are tax codes. It's a way of the Italian government knowing who you are. And it's also a way when you buy a house that the notary knows who you are, because you've got a Codis Fiscale. To get a Codis Fiscale, you've got to have given your proof of address and passport and things like that. So even though notaries will still collect copies of those, they are certain, it's actually written in your contract, that they are certain of your, what's the word? I can hear everybody saying it to me, identity. because of the Codis Fiscal. So everybody has to have one. It doesn't mean that you pay taxes here. It's called a tax code, but it's nothing to do with taxes. Now, people that are buying a property using our services, we do get Codis Fiscals and still do. It is getting harder and harder and harder. Every time we go to the tax office, we are arguing with these people. Half the time, I think it's, I shouldn't talk bad of tax officers because, you know, you don't want them knocking on your door. But half the time that I believe is because they just don't want to do it. But it is getting harder, because what should happen is you can, when you're here in Italy, you can go and make an appointment at the tax office, get yourself a tax code. What should happen is, if you live outside of Italy, you should apply at your consulate. And lots of people are saying, I've tried, but I don't understand the forms and this and that, the other. It's a bit of a wait. But what I will say to everybody is, if you are considering buying a property, please get your Codis Fiscal sorted. Make it your thing to do, either tonight or this weekend, or while you sat around eating and drinking at Christmas time, to say, you know what, I'm going to apply ready for 2024 when I'm going to buy a home in Italy. Nice pun. Anyway, I'm going to get my Codis Fiscal, and I'm going to quickly show you how to do it. And please do it, because I don't want to get to the point where we are banging our heads. My wife was there last week and today, and she's been turned away again today, and it is becoming a nightmare. There's a system that we have that you can do, but you go into one office to turn you away. Then you have to make an appointment for the others. They turn you away. Then you get somebody nice. They do it for you. And it is getting harder and harder and harder. And it's so easy to do online. So quickly, I'm going to show you how to do it. I showed you the other week, and I'm going to show you again now. So make sure that you do this. Tony, I need to check with you. Now, what am I doing here? Screen share. Here we go. So this should be showing Google, and I'm coming back to you now, Tony. If you can just tell me, nod your head if Google is showing. Yes, it's saying it's showing. Okay. Let me see if I can get a bigger version. How do I get a bigger version? A smaller me and a bigger Google. There you go. So you can see that, Tony. Yeah, you can confirm you can see that. Just give me a thumbs up. Perfect. Okay, so here we go. Type into here the Italian consulate that's closest to you. So I'm going to write Italian, because I've heard a lot of people having problems with Chicago. I'm going to put Chicago. And this applies to anywhere in the world. I'm not just talking to America, anywhere. Wherever you've got in the UK, you just look for the London one. Anywhere just find where your local one is. That's the important one. And there's a list of all the consulates all over the world. You can check where your local one is online easily. So this is the page. All you got to do is, sorry, I always get, because I can't see the little screen at the moment. Tony, can you just confirm that you're still seeing all this? Can you give me a thumbs up? Yeah, he's done. Okay, so in this part here where it says testo da cercare, click on that and just simply write Codis, C-O-D-I-C-E, Fiscale, with an E at the end. Okay, then tap on the Codis Fiscale page. It always comes up first. Now, I know it's all in Italian. Some people look at it and just say, no, thank you. All you got to do is, like what you do on any other web page, change it to English. Dead easy. Here it goes. Then what you got to do is just look where it talks about if you're an Italian resident or not. So here it says Italian tax ID may be requested by downloading and filling out the form. Okay, but straight away it says, and attaching there to a copy of your Italian passport. Now, obviously, you're going to be saying, but I haven't got a passport. So then it will tell you foreign nationals must attach a copy of their birth certificate. So birth certificate and passports. But do check that what your particular consulate needs. And I would always say send your driving license in as well, something with your address on, because it doesn't say it on here. But for me, you've got to be bang on right with these people. So forget where it says PIN Fiscale. You need to do Codis Fiscale. Click on the form. It's dead simple. This is the form here. Hopefully everybody can see it. Tony, can you just give me a thumbs up? Can you see the form? It's on screen. Yep. Just give me a thumbs up. Go down here to this part that you fill out. Now, the important part is section A is if you're applying for somebody else. You're not. You're applying for yourself. So you click on that. You see how it's automatically filling it in for you? Then here, this section 2, which is where everybody gets confused, all you're doing is request for a tax code. and you click on there, because the rest of it is if you want to change your details, all that kind of thing. Do it a request for a tax code card. Okay, so forget all of that section then, and then you simply do surname. So you type your surname in there, whatever that is. Then you go to your name, so on and so on. Just to ask where you were born and all the rest of it. Just fill out that form, print it off, and sign it. Sign it here on this. Hopefully you can see where it says. Don't sign it at the bottom, because that's if you delegate somebody else to do it for you. Just sign it and send it in. Don't send it by post. Send it by email. All the addresses are on there. It's dead simple. And believe me, it's just going to save you time. So, or not that it's going to save us time, but it could be, I'm getting that concerned about Codis Fiscals now, that it could be getting close to somebody's signing time, because what the tax office sometimes are asking is for documents such as a power of attorney to prove that you, even though we've got a signed form from you, some of the tax office is asking for things that we don't get while closer to the time. And it could be that you're on a deadline and you still haven't got a Codis Fiscal. So I would say to you, definitely do that. You may as well have it. It doesn't mean anything in the sense of, it doesn't mean that you suddenly start paying Italian taxes or anything like that. It's not, nothing's going to happen to you, but you're just one step ahead. It's so important to get that. And I would stress more than ever, please go on to the consulate websites. There are people that are charging you for this service, but what they're doing is exactly what I've just shown you. And I've had it confirmed today by a very kind person who was buying a property from us, who sent me, he paid for the service. He was happy to pay for that. That's fine. But it was exactly the same form as what I've just shown you. So we do a service where we can help and pay. I don't want to take money off people for things like that, because you can do it yourself. So if you do it now, even if you're thinking, well, I'm not going to buy for 3 months, 4 months, 5, it may take, some consulates are straight back to you, but some can be months before you get them. So do it now, and then it's all in motion. If anything goes wrong and you find somewhere in February and your Codis Fiscal's not come, then we can help with things like that. In worst case scenarios, we make appointments at all the tax offices and find one nice person in one of them that's going to do it for us. We can do it, but please go on there and get it ready. And then that's one thing ticked off. If you never buy a property in Italy, it doesn't matter. Just keep it. You have it there for future. You never know what's going to happen in future. Okay, I'm going to cross that question about Codis Fiscals. Do you have a before or after pictures of renovations you've been part of? Yes, we do. And this is Michelle Love. I know who this person is. Yes, and what I will do, I will send them to you, especially when you start having renovations done. But if you want to go back on, we are going to be getting another catch up with Stan and Sharon, but there's a restorations webinar that we did a couple of months ago. If you go onto YouTube, go onto the live section. So it's underneath where it's got the videos, everything else. Click on live, find the restoration one, and click on there, and you'll see some of the before and afters on some of those places. So yes, we do. Okay. Can I have this? No, Tony's putting one in again. How easy is it to pay bills and taxes on an Italian property from the US? Should be very easy. Now, what a lot of people are getting, sort of the particular cards that I'll say it's a Wise card, that there's quite a few of these cards out where you can have a European IBAN number. And what that should mean is that any country in Europe should take, this is European law, that any company within Europe must take an IBAN from another European country. So if you've got an IBAN in Belgium, for instance, I think it's Wise that's based in Belgium, they give you a Belgian IBAN code. The Italian companies must, by European law, accept that as an IBAN. Do you think they do? No. Lots of them don't. So it's not as easy to set up a direct debit, and we've tried so many ways, and then you can actually complain about them, and there's actually European, you can go on the EU website and complain about which company is not allowing to do it, and it gives you a phrase that you can say to these people, look, according to law, blah 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 blah. But as soon as you start saying that, the phone's usually gone down, so you're just wasting your time. So it should be very easy. But what we're finding is the way we're having to do it at the moment is you get your bills sent by email. Once you get your bill, on there will be an international banking number, an IBAN number, and then you just send the money and pay the bill that way. When it comes to taxes for your property, so the yearly property taxes, this is so frustrating. We have spoken about this before, and we're going to potentially talk about it again when we talk about taxes, is you don't get a bill for them. You have to actually do it yourself or get somebody to do it for you, and then you can get the IBAN number for the council and send the money in. There's always people that will help, and when you come out here, you can go to the council and say, you know, I need the IBAN, I need this, I need the other. But for now, you have to rely on people that know how to do these sort of things. So you can get in touch with us as well, and we can steer down the path of how to pay yearly taxes and that sort of stuff. But as for your utilities and that kind of thing, my wife spends so long on the telephone screaming at utility companies. Sometimes they will accept IBAN codes, sometimes like foreign IBAN codes, so to speak. Sometimes they won't. But worst case scenario, it gets sent to you by email, and you just send it on your by bank transfer. That's the worst case scenario. Again, these are kind of things that we help with afterwards for people that are buying using our services, and these are the kind of things when I always say to people, be prepared, ask the questions, ask your agents or whoever you're dealing with. Hopefully you're going to be coming through us, but ask the people, are they geared up and set up to help you with these kinds of things, because they are important. Then obviously once you get to know and you understand things, you can do them yourself rather than being sort of charged for them. But to start with is important. Paul, hi Dave, would your consulting services include assisting someone with starting up a small business in Italy? Unfortunately not. It's not my expertise at all, but we've got Gianluigi will be coming on in January, and he's fantastic. That's the kind of thing he does. I'm not an accountant or anything like that, and I wouldn't confess to know. It is quite a complicated sort of thing. So you do need somebody good in your corner, somebody good that speaks the language really well as well, English as in. And Gianluigi is brilliant for that. So I'll save that for January. Apologies that I can't give you any more advice, but it would be wrong of me to do so. Joyce, having lived near SF, so I'm guessing that's San Francisco, during the devastating Loma Prieta earthquake, I'm concerned about the risk level in various parts of Abruzzo. Do you have a recommended website for checking the earthquake risk there? There's loads of them on the internet. Let's just get this right. Italy is seismic. It's not. I don't know why people suddenly think Abruzzo. You know, it's sort of Abruzzo is up there with them, but it's the whole of Italy is seismic. So you've got Sicily, you've got you can see it going all the way up the middle of Italy, up and out towards the top left, if you like. More recent ones were in Lazio, were in Umbria, and that kind of thing. So it shouldn't be things about Abruzzo. It's the whole of Italy, other than Sardinia. Sardinia is not seismic at all. Every other region is seismic. People say Puglia isn't. Yes, it is. North Puglia, the south, a lot less. The risk is relatively zero, but the north part is. All I can say to you is, if you're concerned about this kind of thing, then maybe Italy in general is not the place for you. If you want to stay out of any, it's difficult to say, isn't it? I mean, I live in the mountains. I live at the foot. The mountains are outside of my window, at the foot of these enormous mountains. Mountains are created, I think, by earthquakes. So I was told many years ago at school when I was paying attention in geography, which wasn't very often. And you know, there's churches and castles around that are thousands of years old, and villages that are 100 years old. Nobody wants to make a mockery of it all, because obviously if you're unfortunate enough, and the earthquakes here are nothing like the earthquakes that you get in San Francisco and places like that. They're much more isolated. They're nothing like some of the things that can happen over there. You can search on the internet, you will see different zones, and then people say, well, I'll stay out of that zone, stay out of that. You're probably getting rid of 3/4 of Italy. It's just something that happens very rarely. I don't want to make I don't know what the word is I'm trying to think of, but because I'm not saying that I'm sure people have been devastated by them, but they're very, very rare events. I say, when I see some of the villages hanging off the side of the mountains the way they do, it's something I don't think about. But if you really want to have a look, a quick search on Google, there's loads of different maps that you can have. You can have lots of fun going through those and writing on other groups and asking them, and people will give their opinions. But that my opinion is that I've lived here 15 years, and people around me, you know, that have lived here for a lifetime will have a different opinion, usually similar to what I say. But again, I'm not downing them. I'm just saying that I don't know, it's something I don't really think about as much. Jeff, if you buy an apartment in a palazzo, who's responsible for the roof fixes and the common areas? We toured one that had nobody else living in it, and there didn't seem to be any condo fees. So condo fees are not the law over, is it 4 or 6 apartments? I can't remember now. So a lot of the old buildings, they won't have condo fees. There's always somebody within the building that will look after the electric light. There's maybe 2 light bulbs on the corridor and things like that. Tony's flinging his hands up in the air because he looks after the one where he is. That's hilarious. There's nothing better than watching Tony debt collecting that knows very little Italian and people trying to understand what he's saying. It is possibly, in fact, we should video that, Tony, actually. That would probably go viral on YouTube. I think definitely would. But anyway, back to all serious. Yeah, in these smaller condominiums, you will find that there is nobody that's responsible. Now, if there is something found, everybody is responsible that is underneath that roof. So if you're under the roof directly, you will have a little bit more to pay, but everybody is responsible, even the ground. So if the ground floor is 3 floors down, 4 floors down, everybody is responsible. And what you do is you go to a geometer, you say, this needs to be done. You contact everybody within that building and say, look, this has got to be done. If not, you go to the geometer and say, find out where these people, you know, buildings are owned by people. And that's what you do. You say to them, look, this needs to be done. This is we've got a geometer, or somebody else can choose a geometer. You'll get a geometer that will do it as a condominium thing, divide it all up correctly, see how many square meters everybody's got, and present people with the prices. It is difficult when you're in a building that is pretty much abandoned and all of a sudden, you know, you've got to try and find everybody. It can be difficult, but that is, the law states that everybody has got to contribute to common areas and also to the roof. So, but just be careful if you go in there and it's a really dilapidated build. Is that word? Dilapidated? Can't remember. I'm losing some of my English words. Building, and there's not many people in there. Do sort of have a little bit of a look. Just have a look to see if there's any signs of any mailboxes, because people not living in properties doesn't necessarily mean that the owners are not around, because there's so many properties that have stayed in Italian families for such a long time. They don't sell them, they don't do anything with them. That's just the way it is. But you probably find that these places will be that there will be people that still own them. Or go to the council and find out from the council. Okay. What is the best healthcare setup if you move to Abruzzo and are an EU citizen and not yet 65? So if you're moving to Abruzzo, so you're an EU citizen, if you're moving here and you're going to actually live here, then the best is the national health system. It's fantastic here. I wouldn't suggest going private at all. The way it works, if you're going to be working here, so if you're going to be paying taxes here, then your healthcare comes as part of that. So you go every year, you go and you'll pay, you'll hand in your until you get a test. It's called a tessera sanitaria, which is a health card, and you renew that health card. It's not every year, is it, Tony? Is it every? Oh, it is every year. He's nodding his head. I better check mine. And basically, what you do is you'll go to the local. They're usually inside the hospitals. You apply again for your tessera sanitaria, and you then say, I'm employed or I'm self-employed, show them your tax things, and you get the card, and that's it. I think after so many years, then I think it extends. I don't think everybody's every year. I think it stretches out to 5 or 10 years or something like that. If you are earning money, so if you've got some sort of income, but it's not income generated here or taxed here in Italy, even though that shouldn't really happen. You can pay a voluntary. A voluntary is about 390 euros. I think it's just a little bit less, where what you're doing is you're declaring that you haven't got an income, or maybe you haven't got an income at the moment, you're just here. Then you would go onto the voluntary system and you would say, I'm paying. So it doesn't matter if you've got savings in the bank, but if you haven't got an income, You go to the same place and say, I'm declaring that I haven't got an income, and I'll pay the voluntary payment, which is, like I say, it's 300, something like 387 euros, so many pence, something round about that. Tony's nodding his head, so it's somewhere round about that sort of price. Or if you do have an income that's earned sort of outside of Italy or anything like that, and you're living here, then you'll pay contributions for so long, and you pay contributions based on your income. The maximum, I think, you pay something like 5,500 a year, and you pay that for 5 years. Then after 5 years, you're onto the system. But that's the maximum. That's if you're earning quite a fair amount. But if you're not earning anything, you come out here, you're living off savings or whatever it is, then you pay the voluntary 387 until you've been here for 5 years, and then you can move on from there. And it should then be pretty much free. There is something now that I was reading before we started this, in that the government are trying to increase the amount for people outside of the EU that are coming out here for a minimum contribution, because the minimum contribution at the minute is 380 something. They're on about doing a minimum of much more than that, but it's not been agreed as yet, and there's lots of people against it. And when that happens, it'll get thrown from one house to another to another to another, and probably never get resolved. But yeah, keep your eye out for things like that. But if you're working or you're self-employed, you're paying taxes here on a job here, then you automatically go on that. But I wouldn't go private. I would definitely pay into the system. I personally think it's fantastic. Possibly if you're living further south, there may be problems, but you need to judge it on the hospitals when you start, when you're here. I think they're superb. We've had some brilliant experiences with them. Okay, Tony, I'm going to just get another. I want to answer a couple of these questions that I've got. Can you explain the 2% and the 9% tax rates when buying a property in Italy? So the 2% and 9%, this is a purchase tax. It's part of your. Excuse me. Anybody that if you look back at some of our live streams before and go on the, what do we call them? Go on the Prepare My Budget, or there's ones with fees and taxes and that kind of thing. We're going into much more details about the fees and taxes, but the part of your fees and taxes are these two particular taxes that are purchase taxes, that you either pay 2% if you are going to become a resident. So that's if you're going to become a resident within 18 months of buying your property. So you don't have to give any proof to the notary. You just have to declare to the notary, are you buying this as a resident, or are you buying this as a second home, holiday home, or whatever it may be? You declare to the notary. The notary will write whatever you decide. So if you say, I'm buying this as a resident, the notary then warns you, and it gets written into the contract, that you must become resident within 18 months in the council, in the house that you claim in this reduction from. That way, then part of your fees and taxes are made up of this 2% tax. But it's not 2% of what you pay for the property. It's 2% of what we call the catastale value, which could be much less. And in lots of cases, it can be much less than what you buy it for. So a couple of examples recently: a property for 100k had a catastale value of 30k. Another property of nearly 200k had a catastale value of 60k. So you don't pay the 2% on the 200k, you pay it on the catastale value, which you should be able to find that out from your estate agents or whoever you're dealing with. They should give you a good idea of how much your fees and taxes are going to be. It's worked out in a certain way, and I go through that in depth if you look back at the live ones where we talk about preparing your budget or fees and taxes. So you'll pay 2% of the catastale rate, which is, or the cadastral value, which is the value that it's registered with the land registry. And as I say, a lot of those can be much less than what you pay. However, be warned that some of the cheaper properties the catastale value, the cadastral value, can actually be higher than what you pay. So if you find a bargain property at 20k, you may find that it has a cadastral value of 30k or 40k or something like that. So it's really important. Don't just take it that it's always going to be less, because sometimes it's not. Another thing to be aware of is there is a minimum payment of €1,000 in taxes on a purchase. So if you buy a property that has a cadastral value of 20k and you think, oh, that's great, I'm only going to pay 400 because I'm going to be a resident, you won't. It's a minimum of €1,000. And then the other is a non-resident. If you're going to be non-resident, you're buying it as a holiday home, but you're going to be a resident in 5 years and you can't do it within 18 months, then you pay 9%, but always on the cadastral value. So that's the value that's registered at the local council. In some areas, it can be similar to what you pay. In some areas, it can be a little bit more than what you pay. A lot of the time, it's usually a lot less, and it can be a lot less, but don't just take that for granted, especially when you're on the 9% one, because that can be quite a hit. So, try and find out the taxable values, or get a rough idea from the agency how much, or whoever you're dealing with, how much roughly are the fees and taxes going to be. You cannot claim the lower rate, the 2%, if you're buying it as a business, as a company. If you do that, you pay the taxes on what you buy it as, buy it at the price you buy it at. The other one that you pay at the price you buy it at is if it's declared as a, I can't remember now if it's F2, is it F2, the category where it's declared as an unusable building. So if you're buying a pile of rocks, or you're buying something that is in a really bad state of repair, just check, because if they've registered it as, I'm sure it's an F2, but I will double check that. But if they've registered it as a building that it can't be lived in, Tony's nodding his head at F2. He must, I don't know how he know. He's definitely there on Google. If it is registered as F2, then even if it's a pile of rocks, if you pay 200k for a nice pile of rocks in the middle of Tuscany, then your 9% holiday home tax is going to be on that 200k, not on the low one. So buying as a company, buying an F2 that's a complete ruin, you'll pay on what you actually pay for the property. Buying it as a person, and buying it as a resident, you will pay 2% of the declared value, the value that is the taxable value that the land registry own. Buying it as a holiday home, 9% of the declared, the value that's registered at the land registry. Okay, hope that's made that clear. Cross that one off. Let me just, I don't see why, Sabine. Sometimes I can't see the names. Does it ease things to move and become an Italian taxable resident before buying, especially concerning house loans? Okay, that brings us on to, I'm going to cover two things with your question there, because some people, does it ease things in terms of buying a property? No. It does make it cheaper if you're becoming resident. You don't have to be resident before you buy, because you've got this 18 months grace. So in that sense, no. When it comes to house loans, very difficult to get as a non-resident. So I would say, as a taxable resident, then you have more chance of getting a much higher chance of getting a house loan, because house loans at the minute, for people outside of Italy, I've not found anybody that can help me with them yet. It's got so difficult to get them. So in that case, yes, it would be easier to be an Italian taxable resident paying taxes. Then you can go to a bank, and obviously they know where you are, you're living here, and all the rest of it. So definitely yes to that question. The reason why I was going to put this as a two-part question, it just brings me on to one that somebody asked me. We didn't write the names down. Is it easier to buy as a citizen? So this person is going to become Italian citizen. They said, does it make things easier? It doesn't make anything any easier at all. Whether you're citizen, whether you're foreigner, whoever you are, it doesn't make things easier at all. It's the same thing. It's not cheaper if you're citizen. It's only cheaper if you are resident. That's the only difference. So you could be an Italian. You could be an Italian that lives wherever, in Australia, moving back to Italy, wants to buy a house, or wants to buy a house as a holiday home, whatever. They pay the same tax rates as a non-citizen. The only thing that makes it easier is when that person wants to come and move to Italy, because you don't have to go through all the visa processes and things like that, because you're an Italian citizen. But it doesn't make it easier at all to be a citizen, and it's not cheaper. If you're becoming resident, that's cheaper. And whether you're a citizen becoming resident or a foreigner becoming resident, it's exactly the same. So the thing to become an Italian citizen, the main good point for it is if you want to move out here, because then it's dead easy for you to move out here. You got any more to come through to me, Tony? Is there anything else? I would love to rent a place for a month for next year during summer. Can you help me with that? Yes. I want to know the area before making the decision on buying a holiday home. So what I will say, Adriana, is if you send an email to info@homeinitaly.com, please send me your telephone number on there as well. And especially if you've got WhatsApp on there, it's a lot easier to contact. And I will pass it on to Lewis, and he will be in touch with you. And he's got some fantastic options for that kind of thing, especially around he's got options around Abruzzo, but he'll get back to you and give you the details of places he has available. Much cheaper, dare I say it, than going through certain websites where you paid a nightly rate and that kind of thing. I'm not saying it's sort of 70% cheap, but it is definitely cheaper, and it gives our listeners really good rates as well. So yes, send me the email to that below. As I say, if you can send me a telephone number as well with a WhatsApp, that goes for anybody that's interested in anything like that. Just send me your WhatsApp numbers. If you haven't got them, just send me your normal telephone, or if you prefer email, whichever. It's just quicker by phone, and Lewis will get in touch with you and give you details. Okay, stamps. Don't pay the ransom. Had a great question. So what you're saying, Stamps, is Tony missed that one, did he? Terrible. That's because he's daydreaming. Don't pay the ransom. I had a great question. I understand the lifestyle differences, standard of living, but can you give an estimate of what a comfortable annual income for a retired couple in Abruzzo? Tony's laughing. I'm not a retired couple. Okay, so depends on your lifestyle. I mean, it really does, because we've had this conversation quite, and I know Tony's not going to mind me saying, because he's said it quite freely to many people. Before his very old age pension kicks in, because he's not quite pensionable age yet, even though clearly he looks it. I know what you're going to say. He won't mind me saying, living on his own, he actually managed on less than €1,000 a year, because he didn't want to draw out of certain things. He just thought, I'm going to manage. And he still goes out. He still goes out for a meal. He'll still go to the beach, still does everything else. And you can manage on that, because cost of living is so much less. If you want to have a good, I don't know, as a couple, if you wanted to go out maybe once or twice a week, Tony's writing something. I can see him on a little screen. He's scribbling something down. So he's either telling me, stop talking about me, or he's coming up with some brainwaves. Anyway, I would say, what's he holding up there? Oh, sorry, he's saying I said it per year. Sorry, Tony survived on 700 per month. Sorry, did I say year? Anyway, so I would say if you want to go out a couple of times a week and you want to live a comfortable lifestyle, what would you say, Tony? $2 grand's a lot, isn't it? Here, €2,000. He's throwing his arms up in the air. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. He drinks cheap wine. His wife found him on the streets of. Anyway, no, I would say 2,000 is a good income here. To live. I mean, I know cost of living is going up, things are going up and all the rest of it, but the realities of going out and actually retire, I think this place is just an amazing place to. They should put me on somewhere in the government to get people. I'd show them how to get people out here by getting rid of all the visa things for a start. But I think to become a pensioner here and to live a good lifestyle, you don't need a huge amount at all. Not at all. And I would even say €1,500 is great as well if you don't have any debts. Obviously, if you've got lots of debts, that's different. But things are really cheap here, and hopefully on the 19th, I'm going to be getting some people in that have been on webinars before, on live streams before, that's going to give you a kind of idea for some of these prices. Because I mean, I see especially people from the States that come here and they're saying they get 3 or 4 trolleys full of things in a supermarket for the same price of one in the States. And certainly eating out, and certainly wine and things like that. I mean, wine is cheaper here than water, than bottled water in England. It's actually cheaper for me to buy a litre of wine than a litre of water in the UK. That's how ridiculous it is. Damn, I'm going to have a good time with retirement income. That's why you need to move here. Now, I'm not saying the whole of Italy. You know, I'm talking about sort of, I'm not even going to say southern, because sometimes Sicily and Puglia can be quite expensive. Abruzzo is getting a little bit more expensive, but it is still more than reasonable. I would say Lazio is in the good parts of it is as well. So, but yeah, I mean, the vast majority of it, unless you're going to move to somewhere like Venice or Milan or somewhere like that, then that's different. But yeah, you should be quite happy with what you could do with the kind of figures that you may have coming in per month. Okay, Tony, we've got 5 minutes left. Have you got anything, or can I? I'm going to read a couple of these. He's not doing anything yet, so he's either gone somewhere. Okay, so this one, I like this one. Somebody started to paint the outside of their house and got a visit from a policeman, and luckily the police were quite sort of helpful, because they can do it a completely different way, and they've been told that they have to go to the council to choose the colours for their house. And they're asking me, does that sound normal? Yes, it does. And especially if you live, usually, I'm not saying everywhere, so again, it's one of those things that you need to check. I've been to see a couple that I sold a property to a number of years ago that they're actually putting it up for sale. Great property. That's going to be Christmas week. Just wait while you see that one, in the middle of the national park. But yeah, it's not actually far from where I live. It's sort of 5 minutes it takes me, less than that, to get up there. And because they were in the national park, they also had to get the permission from the park for the colour that they chose. So usually in the countryside, you're pretty free, but always check. But in the historical centres, then you definitely need to check. You should check everywhere, but especially in historical centres. And this person it was actually their door that they were changing the colour of. And luckily these people were nice enough to say, well, we'll just say it's the undercoat, and nothing we've done but change the colour, because they'd come up with this nice sort of purple Provence, a bit sort of French, and I think the Italians drove past and thought, we're not having that. It did look a little bit straight. I'm making it sound, it would have been fitting somewhere else, but yeah, they said, no, you have to change that, and you have to go to the council, and there's usually a huge amount of color charts. It's like going into a supermarket, not a supermarket, a DIY store. They'll give you all the color charts, and there's loads of different colors, so there is a lot you can choose from, but it has to be one of those that's within your council. So don't think, even if you're outside of town, just worth asking, because if not, if a council wants to be quite nasty about it all, then they can be. Josh, when it says on a video, price including fees and taxes, what is included? Your fee and EVA. Okay, so great question, Josh. Good one to finish on this one, because we've only got 2 minutes left. What we're trying to do now with a lot of our videos, what happens is I only get certain amount of time to do video properties and property videos. I always get that the wrong way around. So especially when the weather's a bit unpredictable like it is, I try and just whip out and do the ones local. So sometimes I haven't had all the documents in. And so those particular properties, because it's all very quick and I just happen to be in that area and take a video of it, because it's impossible for me to video all the properties. I just wouldn't be able to do it. What tends to happen is we haven't got the documents straight away, so I can't do a rough estimate of how much the fees and taxes and that kind of thing are. So they will just be property videos with the price on, and everything is then on top. And by the time the video is released and people send me emails, I've got all the information I need, or it takes me a few days to get it. Wherever possible, especially in the new year, we're going to try and do all of our video properties, including everything. So when we say including everything, yes, it includes our fees, it includes the notary fees, it includes everything. That's the price you pay. There is one thing, do you notice like a little asterisk, that it doesn't include, and that is if you are buying it, because lots of people buy the video properties as remote sales. So I need to send you a power of attorney, you need to sign it in front of a notary where you are, and it needs either the apostle stamp or legalizing, depending which country you're in. If you're in Canada, it needs to be legalized. If you're in America, you need the apostle. If you're in the UK, you need the apostle. Anybody that's part of the Hague Convention, you need the apostle. Outside of that, it's another system. It doesn't include that part. Now, in the States, I've been told that notaries are in most banks and you can go there and just sign. And I don't think the apostle costs that much either. It could be around $100 or what. I've heard a few different stories. So it doesn't include that, but it includes everything else. So I do it so you know that that is the price. That's our fees. That's the geometry fees. That's translations. It's everything needed to buy the property. So if you saw the one on Saturday that we just done, that is a brilliant property in Palombarro, 2 minutes from where I live, 55,000 all in, everything paid. That is a great. Just check that out. Go onto the YouTube channel. So yeah, wherever I write that it's including all fees and taxes, it's literally. I don't suddenly say to you, "Oh no, there's my fees on top and there's this fee." No, that's it. That's it. And that's it. That's 60 minutes. Perfect timing. Look at that. 8 o'clock. Absolutely perfect. Thank you so much, Matt. That property looks amazing. It is. It's a great one, Matt. And whoever buys that, just think as well, we can have a drink together on your roof terrace. Anyway, thank you. No, Tony's putting his finger up now. That means he's got another question. Can we do power of attorney in person while on the tour? Little bit difficult, Darlene, because yeah, we don't really have time for things. If you're staying over a little bit longer, but you can only do a power of attorney once you found a house. So if you find a house on one of our amazing tours, if you find a house and we've got the time, then we can do the power of attorney. If not, we just do it when you go back to wherever it is you're from, because we have everything in place to make it run really smooth. So you don't even have to come out here. We've got a system now, fantastic system between us, between the notary, between any agents that's involved, between everybody. It's a great system. Okay, guys, thank you so much for all your questions. Again, absolute, really do enjoy these Tuesday nights. And as I said to you before, these are going to keep going and keep going. We've got lots of new things coming on the website. We have got some paid for stuff. We've got some Patreon things that we're doing that includes the forum and other things. There is some paid stuff that helps the channel, all the rest of it. But these Tuesday nights will always be free and be available for you guys to watch and watch again and go back onto the live section on YouTube. We love doing them. And yeah, that's just, Tony's leaving this. He wants me to, I'm not reading it, Tony. Will we ever get to see Tony? I didn't read the rest of it, or only people on the tour. Was that? Actually, we do allow him onto these things every now and then. And what I will say is on the 19th, and I'm going to tell my wife as well, she needs to, because she always says I'm the one that talks. I don't know where she gets that from. She's not the talker. But I am going to definitely get her in for the 19th. So at least, because people keep saying to me as well, you know, Dave, you keep talking about your wife who does quite a large part of the work. Some people say it's 80-20. Don't know which way around that is. But anyway, yeah, so on the 19th, and we will allow Tony to show his face as well. Not for long, because he's not really got the face for TV. And I will say, I was going to flick it on there now because he's getting his Santa beard ready. He's getting the full-on Santa. So we'll save it for the 19th. So there you go. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate all the support, as usual. Keep commenting and keep liking and keep subscribing and everything you're doing to help the channel. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And we'll see you again next Tuesday at the same time. Have a great week.